What's happening, everyone? Welcome to our next video. We are doing a PRS S2 McCarty review. Now this is a porterized review, so we're going to actually talk a little bit about what we like about this guitar. Hopefully it's helpful for you if you're just thinking about buying this guitar. But towards the middle of the video, we're going to switch over into the mode of what we normally do, which is modify guitars and put the pickups in. So this is a guitar from our friends at Wildcat Guitars. Check them out in California. They are also a Porter Pickups dealer. So we worked out a special arrangement for this guitar for them to become a dealer, and it's really excited about that. We've got some cool sets already available as of this video at Wildcat Guitars. May not even be posted on the website yet. You can contact them and see what Porters they have in stock. So we'll get that out of the way. But great store, great experience. They even asked how we wanted this set up before it got sent, and it came great out of the box. Yeah. Honestly.
I was noticing.
So I don't know if that's something that they did extensive work or a little bit of work, but overall came to us in really good shape. So we're going to talk about what we like about this guitar, and then we'll get into the weeds of how we evaluate guitars that we're going to swap pickups out and what we do. So what was the process? We've had it about 3 weeks, Marco. What was the process of getting this guitar and kind of getting our ears and our hands and our minds are wrapped around what it is? What was kind of that process?
Yeah, normally we kind of just go crazy and start ripping stuff up and not really considering that, but we both wanted to kind of hear, you know, I had it this last weekend and you had it the weekend before, and we kind of ran it through our rigs. I remember one night I just took it home and played it unplugged on the couch, and I was like, well, this thing's pretty loud, you know, and just kind of hearing maybe what it's bringing to the table, and then rather than just kind of changing it and not really hearing what it had to say before. And, you know, it's fun to kind of use this as a kind of showcase for our pickups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, you know, oh, you know, we don't like stuff like this, or, you know, we just are trying to make our own kind of sound. And but we wanted to hear the voice of the instrument, I guess, as cheesy as that sounds.
No, I think it's a good point, because they're different guitars. Like, we've had so many guitars through here over the years, and sometimes they're really like, oh, that's a keeper, and sometimes you can't put your finger on it. And like, this is one of those where we've played a whole bunch of PRSs, from the SEs to the really, really high-end wood library ones over the last like 3 months or so. We've kind of had a lot of stuff come through the shop, and this one I think has really risen to the top in terms of build quality. Really good, consistent quality. I just kind of like the cherry red finish myself.
Yeah.
But I look at it, and there's one weird thing about it. I guess we'll go ahead and mention it was at the store since 2020. So it survived the crazy COVID guitar purchasing gauntlet, and still was like left standing after that. And so that's an encouraging sign that not only is it plays great and it's stable after all those years being in a shop, but it is weird that it didn't sell. That's something that I didn't know if we were going to mention in the video, but it is kind of cool to be like, it was just waiting for us this whole time. Yeah, right.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it is kind of like, I wonder how come this didn't sell, and maybe there was just, you know, nicer guitars that other, nicer PRSs that other people wanted, but this one kind of was a little, you know, like a diamond in the rough. You know, and maybe it's not as flashy as some would expect with the PRS, but again, I also really like this kind of like really dark red finish. And you can see we already took the back plate off, but so it's just a really cool guitar, and we're just can't wait to get into it, I guess. Yeah.
So this process that we go through when we're taking a guitar and evaluating, like Marco mentioned, we're going through kind of each of our own sort of things, and this is the video where the minds are coming back together, right? We haven't had a discussion until today about what pickups we're going to actually put in this guitar. So for the review part of it, great guitar. I really like the value that these bring. They're still close to $2,000, some are more depending on if they're special, colors and things like that. I think that sometimes maybe they don't sell very well in that price point, because people want the USA PRSs, or these are USA, but they want the fancier core model PRSs, right? And those can be $2,500 more than something like this. But I feel like bang for the buck, really, really happy with this. I feel like it is a good deal. Yeah. If that makes sense. In today's guitar market and at today's guitar prices, I feel like it's a really, really good deal.
I agree. You get everything that you want, like premium components and everything, and the neck is like it's like to me just right. Like it kind of is a little bit, it's like it sits in your hand, but it doesn't feel like thick by any means. But you can really the shape of it, the carve of it is really comfortable. And
yeah.
And I have a hard time with the push pulls, kind of with these knobs a little bit. But if you can get under there, then it's really nice. And
They are a little slick.
Yeah. You've got both splits for each pickup though, so that's kind of nice. This thing could cover all the ground, for regardless of your gig or whatever. I'm sure. And I always like the binding. The binding is a nice touch. It looks fancy. And then the side kind of has some binding. So it's like all the premium components I think that you would want, and it's still a USA made guitar, and they know what they're doing over there. They're blowing up over there, so it's cool.
they're doing all right for themselves, right?
Yeah, every PRS guy, like if you have PRSs and love them, then it's got all of the stuff that you would love, I think. And then if you're not, things you might get used to are just like the strap buttons. They're a little bit different, and
we did change those out already, right?
Yeah. But it's just that's small cosmetic stuff.
Cosmetics, yeah. Well, yeah, and so great platform. Again, we won't go through an extensive playing review because we're itching to get Porter pickups in this guitar. I would say that the pickups overall have impressed me in terms of what they are and the quality. So that's a good thing too. If you're just looking for something out of the box, I feel like this would be a confident recommendation we would have just to your average guitarist. If you're looking to get into PRS but not really get into it, like damage your wallet too bad, this is a great option. Especially for the LP style players. This is really not that far of a deviation from your classic LP style guitar. I won't say the name, but you get what I mean. All right, so as we've evaluated this, we go through this process. We kind of have our mental notes. We don't really take actual notes, unless you do. Maybe
sometimes.
Okay.
It's more like just like chicken scratch on a napkin kind of type deal.
While you're eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, you're like, oh, I'm gonna write the recipe for the new set.
And then you just take a picture, so you've got it on the cloud or whatever.
So I think we like, in general, I guess I'll go first and kind of what I like about where it's sitting. And then we'll dive into the actual techie weeds of kind of what we're going to do. You've got a very cool trick to show us here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I think I like the sustaining. I like the resonance of the guitar. I feel like that shows back up in the pickups. I feel like what's in here is still a touch muddy and a touch kind of woofy sounding. I don't know if it's like everyone's like, oh, it's got too much mid-range, it's got too much this. I just think it's got kind of that fat kind of flubbiness in the bottom end that we would like to maybe try to address. I think that's kind of where I feel like we want to go with this. But other than that, it's really fun to play. It's really fun to play plugged in, and the splits sound really, really good. So I think it's kind of in the vein of something that we might already have kind of on the shelf. So what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely hear you. I kind of that flubbiness a little bit, which is what I'm not super crazy about humbuckers, but I think it's just it definitely ticks that box. I don't know, there's like when you're playing clean and you kind of like strum it, there's like a very kind of bouncy, kind of blocky kind of sound about it. So it really does that G style sound pretty well, and they definitely, like I said, they know what they're doing over there and all of that good stuff. I think we're so used to kind of hearing different things, and I don't know, I'm starting to maybe kind of form some assumptions and stuff like, oh, maybe we don't necessarily go to great lengths to like vacuum pot everything to where the wax really goes in there, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm starting to hear that, or because I feel like you hear that with some pickup manufacturers,
right,
and others that don't, and so I'm just hearing like different stuff, but I'm just curious now to hear, what our take on this is. And here in a minute, we'll go over to the bench and I'll just show you how we'll take the readings, the resistance readings of the pickups. And I don't know, that'll help us determine like, oh, do we want to kind of stay in this ballpark, or, if we do something different, like it's drastically going to change the sound, so we just kind of want to know where the baseline is of the pickup already.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go and do that.
Yeah, let's go jump over the bench and we'll show you that Marco's super insider secret trick to check that resistance. Let's go to the bench and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what those numbers mean and how we might match some porters up to what we're seeing there.
Yeah. Okay, we're here on the bench real quick. I've got a small patch cable plugged in, as you can see, and you just want to make sure all your knobs are turned up. And now we'll plug into the meter. If you're on the 20K setting, that'll be okay for most pickups. If you have something really hot, you might have to figure out what side of the meter you need to be on. But you should be able to find it okay. And then you'll just want to make sure you can kind of rotate the jack, and I will so you can see it. But then you'll want to touch one on kind of the barrel of the jack, and then one past the little wafer here on the tip. And you can see that 4.1 here, and that's our middle position. And then I'll just flip down, touch the meter again. So you see 8.5. And then I'll do the neck here. And 7.95. So the other meter I was testing it on was just reading like 1K lower. So every meter is going to do it a little bit differently there for you. But that's how you can test this on the fly, or even if you're not getting a sound out of your pickup, you can do that test and see if you maybe have a broken pickup, because then the meter would just read like this. So just a fun little test, and that's something you can make sure to do to all your guitars. And then if you're like, oh, why does this one sound different than that other one, that could be a factor in why, and understanding your guitars and stuff. So that's a fun thing. Yeah. So as you can see, hopefully you could see demonstrated clearly, and feel free to ask questions if you need elaboration on any of the thing there. But you can see that the bridge was at 8.4K and the neck was at 7.8K. And in the middle you had like 4.05. Kind of, it varies a little bit. And you have to just make sure that your guitar is turned all the way up, of course. And so, but that is, I guess, kind of about what we would have expected for like your typical, you know, PAF style or whatever, and a little bit on the higher end, I guess. Sometimes there's guys that really like, you know, the bridges at 7.8K, for instance, and then the necks like at 7.2.
Even the high sixes sometimes.
Yeah, even the high sixes sometimes. And you know, I do, when we were talking about this earlier today, I remember Brian saying like, well, I wouldn't necessarily want to go super low and kind of make it wimp out, because we like that that kind of growl that this thing is capable of, you know. So maybe we at least want to hit like the 8K mark in the bridge. And I think, you know, if we hit 8.4, we just 8.4 our way, you know, because that's totally the difference. Like, everybody makes great pickups, but how you get to your 8.4 is
there's a million ways.
Yeah, a million ways, and that's kind of how you start to see, you know, the individuality in everybody. I think everybody's making great stuff, but we wanted to hear our 8.4 maybe, or maybe like 8.2 or 8.3 even, you know, to get really nitpicky.
Right.
Just to maybe bring up some of the more brightness. And I think that for the neck, maybe even the 7.2, or I don't know how you felt about the neck pickup. I personally really liked it.
It was, I liked it too, and I think that's where my gut is like, as we took those readings, as we're talking, my gut is like, let's stay in that ballpark for the first go around, because it's not like we can't change it again, right? We know some pickup making guys that can do that. So I think that's a really good starting point, and using that as a reference. So if you're running this test that Marco just did, and you want to swap out pickups, it doesn't have to be Porters, but it should be. But if you find some pickups that fit in that same range, you just want a different voice, that's a great way to do it. Or you want to go north or south of those numbers, like just like you were talking. I think that's a really good way to approach it. We don't want to go too extreme, I think, with this first go around. I think there's part of us that wants to just make this thing like an absolute ripper shredder kind of thing, but we can do that at some point. We kind of want to get it back into the, you know, what it's trying to be. But again, like you mentioned, great way to look at it is our take. So what models come to mind? Again, not thinking just about resistance, but just about tone and all that. What are you thinking we might throw in here?
So, I mean, I've kind of been in the Anthem corner. I love our Anthem PAF, just the standard one, and that one we can tailor how we wind it to hit these readings, you know, because I think the way that we wind that coil, it really maintains a lot of that sparkle, that shimmer. Yeah. There's the way that those break up that's specific, I think. And obviously this is kind of like your LP style, like to me, it's like, you hate to go that way because it's the obvious choice. You know, I'm not sure what mag types these are, but the Anthems would be a double Alnico 5, right, which I think works really well with the neck to really keep it from kind of woofing out at times, especially if we match that reading, I think.
Yeah.
So we could wind it hotter and maybe maintain some of that clarity, but I sometimes feel like you can hear maybe that like a woofy, but I kind of hear it as like a spongy with these, and but it's like a dry sponge. I don't know. I'm getting dumb.
You're getting way into the weeds, but I think what you're saying is right. I think it's like we don't want to replicate that same sonic profile. We do, like you said before, we want to change some of that. We want to bring some clarity. This guitar could handle more clarity for sure because it's mahogany and it's not. This one is not as muddy as other styles like this I've played. Even other PRSs, even other higher end PRSs have been more muddy than this one, particular one. So I think it's actually going down a really good path. And it's weirded me out in a lot of ways because it does sound really good and it feels really good. And I'm not saying that other PRSs are duds because they're certainly not, but some of them I've not bonded with them the way that this one is felt.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do. So that is the plan. Thank you guys for hanging with us on this video. Really excited to throw some anthems, maybe some custom tweaked anthems. We'll get into a video possibly on the install of the pickups as well, kind of show you how to put them in, as well as talking about what we finalized on in that video, and then an additional video down the road of the playing of the new sounds of the custom anthems, whatever they end up being. Who knows? By the time that video comes out, maybe there'll be something different. You never know. We have been known to like turn a corner every so often. So that's what we're doing with this guitar. Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing to our channel for all things guitar modifications, and guitar pickups. And you can check us out at porterpickups.com. Thank you guys so much, and we look forward to sharing more about this guitar and what's going to happen with it very soon.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Have a good one.
See ya.